Hi, I'm Joe Tolles. Growing up in the foster care system, working within it, and single handedly raising 8 teens adopted from the foster care system has given me a unique view into that world. My reputation for working to keep children connected, healthy, and happy with families who love them is important to me. Who I am today is a far cry from what my circumstances might have dictated. To start, I had to navigate my own childhood hurdles to become the athlete, father, and therapist I am today. Together with child advocate specialist Renee Damon and our guest, I will highlight the issues that impacted me on my journey, issues that are most likely impacting children and families today. Join us as we examine my first steps out of the starting blocks and into the race.
Hello, Joe Tolles.
Hello, Renee Damon. How are you?
I'm wonderful, and it feels good to be back in this place with you after I'm going to call it a little mini break that we had,
Yeah.
probably around mid to the end of January. Joe got some news about his health,
Yeah.
and you
Well,
went under,
I went under the knife. They
you went
cracked
under the
they
knife.
cracked me open. I had open heart surgery, and they went in and they repaired. Luckily, they repaired my mitral valve, and so I am slowly getting back to normal if I can figure out what that is. I've been doing everything that I'm supposed to do, and I feel good. It's just that I'm not where I was before, and well, we'll get there.
It's a
We'll get there.
process. It's a
Yes.
process. But and I'm glad that everything, I mean, it was kind of a shock to both of us that that was going to be happening, but we did. We kind of put things on hold, but we, even in the midst of Joe having surgery and us kind of putting a pause on things, there's been so much happening, so much going on behind the scenes. I think it's important to let everybody know that we're going to have um, another podcast coming out at the beginning of June. So we're going to get back in the swing of things. So we are going to have another episode and we're going to continue doing that. And Joe has been on a
I've,
roll here with Foster Care Awareness Month and has delivered some beautiful messages. And I really want you to talk a little bit about what you just did and what's out there for all of our people that are listening, to what they can go and listen to.
yeah, well, I guess I've been busy, busier than I guess anybody would expect, and people that know me know that I don't sit well I still very well. So, I've always had this, as we've been doing these podcasts, and I've been thinking about sort of my journey. One of the things that kept cropping up or just reemerging are the things that I liked to do when I was young, that I sort of just moved away from, either naturally because life took over, or, for some of it because, you know, it wasn't the thing to do. It was supposed to get a job and work. And so I sort of gave up on some of the play things. And I always tell people that they really need to stay connected to the things that bring them enjoyment, the play. And one of those things was music. And I was listening to the words of Cynthia Erivo and Viola Davis while I was recuperating. And they had such wonderful things to say, for me at least. They words that really touched my heart about connecting to who you are despite people maybe not accepting, or really what you create in your own mind, the messages that you create in your own mind, the I'm not good enough, I don't belong, and how they have those feelings still and they fight through it. And they both have found some really great success. But as I was laying there trying to get comfortable, because that was one thing very impossible to do during this whole time, it was sort of a spark for me to create what I called songs of a journey. And so I decided that I was going to. First started with one. I was going to cover a song for Foster Care Awareness Month and send out a personal message like I like to do. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to do four, and one for every week in Foster Care Awareness Month. And so I've done this series of songs of a journey. And the songs that I've covered are When I First Saw You, If by Bread, Out Here on My Own, and finally Go the Distance. And really connected it to the journey of being in foster care and for everybody being in foster care and their involvement, how they can be involved in that sort of that message. And so they're all up at YouTube
They are.
at Joe Tolls 3181 is the YouTube channel.
They
Um,
are. And I have to kind of interject here and say that, Joe kept me in the loop of sending me audios and saying this is what I'm going to do. And I'll tell you that these songs are so impactful. Especially during, the Foster Care Awareness Month and just bringing that to the surface. And one of the videos shows all of the boys that Joe has adopted, and I would always say to Joe, please give me a warning when you're sending this because it's hitting me in such a way that, and I'm a crier anyway. We all know that I'm a crier anyway. So they're just impactful and beautiful, and they have such a beautiful message. And you've gotten such a great response as well, Joe. It really brought Foster Care Awareness Month to just another level that it was beautiful. It was
well,
beautiful.
it was personally validating, right? It's something that, it takes a lot of courage to s-
Absolutely.
to step into the light this way. I do videos and I do things, but you hear my voice and you don't actually see me. But this time I had to sort of perform. I had to put myself out there and deal with all the things like, oh my gosh, is this the best? Could I do this better? Um, you know, I'm still getting over the fact that I have to really lean into acceptance about aging. So like, who is that person? Um, but what was interesting about this journey is, and I think Cynthia Erivo said this in some way, and it was so true, how much energy it takes to use your voice when they're going up against the negative messages. And it's not like people were telling me that I can't sing, and I still to this day would not claim to be a singer, but I can carry a tune. And I had to learn how to use that voice, knowing that it was going to be so public, um, and sort of push away all of that, to really to get to enjoy the playpen that was created, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, I'm telling you, I'm all in. I really am trying to figure out how to do this more. You know, for no other reason but to, again, I'm going to use this because this is what to create gifts for mankind. I loved creating the messages that preceded the songs. Um, I love the response that people had to, oh, I never thought of that song in that way. So I sort of personalized those using the same words, personalized to get people to see beyond the words and sort of the generic meaning that might be behind it.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just in for it. So we'll see. I don't think that will be the last that
I don't either, Joe. I don't either.
it's like I had fun, and let's just talk about, as we get older, there's lots of things I think that we walk away from, things that bring us joy or bliss that, man, I'm telling you, follow your bliss. As long as you have um, something to make you happy, there's no reason to move away from it. one of the
Right.
best compliments I had, because my sons, they're like, okay, Dad, whatever. It's not like they're
Dad's doing
looking.
another project. What are you
Yes,
doing now?
exactly. But my son Jonathan, he called me and he's like, and he said, that was so good, which was like, huh? You you listen to it? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, it was done out of love. And one of the best things he just said, and I felt it through the screen. And it was like, wow, that just made me feel so good and emotional that it was to them, right? And I think that's what people are picking up is like, you know, I hope that that's what people are picking up, my passion
And I was just
really.
gonna say that the purpose and the passion and I said that throughout when you were sending the audios to me and I'm like there's the purpose behind it and the passion that you have within it that and I beg to differ. Joe can sing. He absolutely can sing.
Yeah,
Um, but again, the purpose and the passion behind it, you can feel it and you can see it in these videos and in the songs, and it impacts anybody that watches it. All of them. So please, please, please go check it out. And
that's right. At Joe Tolls 3181, that's a YouTube channel. You'll find them all there.
good.
Um, and we got some good news while
We
I was.
did. We got some good news. When did we get that good news? We got that good news, I think, in February as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Joe and I have been invited to the Family Rising Adoption and Foster Care Conference in Orlando, Florida. That's October 6th through the 8th. And we're going to be talking about becoming me, identity formation. And we're super excited about that.
Very excited about that.
Very
Um,
excited about that. It's really important for Joe and I to be able to get out there and, we love doing the podcast. We love talking about kids in foster care, but it's going to be just another way to get our words out there and educate people on what it's like for children that are displaced and in foster care system and have a better understanding of the impact that they go through every day. So to be able to do something like that is going to be amazing.
well, pretty much we're
Looking
not going away.
No, we're not going
We're
no.
not we're not going away easily.
No, we're
Um,
not going away.
I mean, it just I know for you and for me, it just brings us so much joy to be able to have these conversations and listen to the feedback and the impact that we're having on people's lives. And you know, I- as long as the ticker keeps ticking,
Yes,
and I've been told that I should just go out and enjoy my life. It's all good. So we'll be hopefully appearing other places where, one of the things that we've been working on is trying to, sort of crisscross the country and having venues where we can share um, primarily with students who may be interested in majoring in something that would have them working with or for families,
mhm,
um, and really talk about identity formation and foster care, or just disenfranchised children and how difficult that is and how specialized that is and the kinds of things that they can do to make their lives a whole lot better.
absolutely. So we are looking at all the different universities that we can get into and present and educate again. And I've always said, when I was going through school and reading about human services, and I remember a little blurb being in the book about the foster care system, and it just is not out there and it's not exposed and it's not just discussed at the level it should be discussed at, and all of the things that are connected to what happens to our youth. So we are not going anywhere. We
Mm.
are going to keep on our mission, and that's my passion and that's my purpose. I'm such an advocate for our youth, and this world and this society. And I just want my voice to be heard and I want people to understand. And the more we can educate people, the more we can have people advocating for our youth. So,
Absolutamente. So
so
hopefully we'll see you somewhere soon. We will have a podcast coming out in the beginning of June, like Renee said. Please go look at Joe Toll's 3181 to see all of our podcast episodes are there, but the videos that I created for Songs of a Journey are there too. And until then, we wish you the best, and we'll see you soon.
we will. Thanks, Joe.
You've been listening to Out of the Starting Blocks and Into the Race. We want to thank you for joining us, and we want to thank our guests for helping us out today. Check out joetools.com and look for your opportunity to have a voice in our backstage discussions where we continue to discuss our important topics. Remember to look for updates at joetools.com where you can book a speaking engagement and get in touch with the hosts.
Remember, the baggage that we carry is a lot lighter when we remember to make space for help.